costing taxpayers billions and billions of dollars every single day. And there's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the DOGE savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt because the numbers are incredible, Elon.
Hey, did you hear that? Like, let me rewind that for the audience.
Citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt because the numbers are incredible, Elon. So many billions of dollars, billions, hundreds of billions, and we're thinking about giving 20% back to the American citizens and 20% down to pay back debt and pay down debt, which is, if you look at value, if it were a real estate balance sheet, the debt is tiny, but we still want to pay it down. Doesn't matter. We don't look at it as a piece of real estate. It's America. We're going to get it down through intelligence, hard work, and as Elon said, a word called caring. You have to care. By doing this, Americans will tell us where there's waste. They'll be reporting it themselves.
Yeah. So I'm going to stop right there. That's the amazing thing. So for the folks that didn't want to watch or whatever, because of the DOGE Department of Governmental Efficiency, there's conversation about some of the findings that they've been finding. They've been finding a lot of waste that's been going to some of your favorite politicians on the left, and I'm sure some right folks were involved as well too. But there's been a lot of wasteful spending by our government for the last several, I was probably say probably the last, decade or so. And no one's just been paying attention. Everybody's just been cashing a check or at least creating these funding bills. And so they can go to multiple places. But there's been a lot of wasteful spending. And what Trump is talking about, along with Elon, is that they are going to do a DOGE dividend where they give, Americans about 20% of what they find, which is about $20,000. So how close that is to coming to happen, I don't know, maybe a next year thing, but it's kind of interesting to have that conversation out loud, especially with as many people or a lot of people voted for Trump. But I'm curious to hear from the folks that did not vote for Trump, what problem they're going to have with this, with the money that they're finding, which is a wasteful spending, fraudulent spending, I should say, as well as giving a kickback because that's actually our money and we want it now.
Yeah, there's so much I want to say about Doge, but I'm going to, first of all, let's start with the obvious. This had to happen. Like, I hope
Yeah.
people understand that. And for the record, they're only at the tip of the iceberg right now. They completed the audit of the USAID and
Yeah.
found a ton of waste there. They're trying to get the Health and Human Services and Medicaid and Medicare, Social Security, U.S. Treasury. There's so many different branches that need auditing. I even heard Pete Hegseth talk about the military budget needs auditing because there's lost and unclaimed funds involved there.
Yeah. I bet
But
it's everywhere. Yeah. Especially equipment and everything.
the naysayers on Doge think that they're making all of this up, right? But let's talk about what we do know. I just posted an article from a somewhat middle source that
So,
confirms what most
what?
of us middle
Hold
middle
on,
of a
guys. Hold
source.
on, guys. This is MC is he's definitely tripping. Hold on.
Well,
The hill is not middle. They are left. They're
well,
not
you know what?
super
That
left.
strengthens my argument even more. Then, if you want to call the hill left, let's call them left. It's coming
Yeah.
from the left. Even the left admits, hey, we failed 7 consecutive audits.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So if we're going to go with left, that makes my argument even stronger because now it's your side that's saying it to the naysayers.
Yeah.
Now, some of the things, some of the left is saying that some of these numbers are overstated, but that doesn't change the fact that it's waste and it's fraud. That
Right.
doesn't change the fact that you're overstaffed and you have all these people working government jobs that are going to get lifelong pensions at our expense that probably shouldn't be there. If
Hmm.
there's any business or department, I should say, where we need to cut spending and employment, it's the federal government. We just saw a report not too long ago that most people that owe taxes can't afford to pay them. Most people that work for the IRS are behind on their taxes too. Like, at what point do we look at this and say maybe we're overtaxing people too much? Has anyone
Yeah.
ever said that out loud? I don't think so. Like, well, they say, but they don't do anything about it, I should say.
Right. Yeah.
But I do want to bring up one more thing regarding those. I'm going to share again. When it comes to financial matters, well, you know what? This video speak for itself. Let's talk about some more of this waste real quick. And this is Rand Paul, by the way, who I consider to be one of the smarter
Grandpa.
people in Congress. Look,
State Department and USAID being some of the worst offenders. Let me give you just a few examples of what these unelected bureaucrats are spending your hard-earned money on.
unelected.
$4.8 million went to Ukraine's public affairs office in Kiev to fund social media influencers. Instead of protecting our own border, $2.1 million was sent to Paraguay to enhance their border security. USAID also funded a group of Ukrainian women-led designers to travel to the Paris fashion show. I don't know about you, but I'd imagine Ukrainian women have more important things to worry about than appearing in the Paris fashion show.
Right.
USAID spent $2 million on transgender surgeries, hormone therapy, and gender-affirming care in Guatemala. $3 million was spent to promote girl-centric.
Hey, I'm gonna need you pro Diddycrats to jump into the comments and tell me you defend this. All the trans stuff, all of the money to the given overseas, the Sesame Street stuff. I'm gonna need y'all to tap in and defend this because this is ridiculous. Everyone involved with this should be arrested.
I also want to call out, if you want to hear these people talk, president, vice president, his cabinet, Congress, uncensored, uncut, without any leaning one way or the other, I suggest you follow Forbes Breaking News on YouTube because they're the only ones that are doing it this way. We can keep going if you want. There's a lot more in here. Let's go a little bit longer.
Pause.
Climate action in Brazil. And I'd love to picture what a conversation about girl-centered climate action looks like. It's like, hey, Barbie, do you know what girl-centered climate change is? Since when do we believe arguments need to be tailored for girls to understand? How insulting to women at large that they think there are special arguments for girls to understand that are different than boys. $25,000 to fund a transgender opera in Colombia. Was nobody in Colombia willing to buy a ticket? USAID spent $32,000 in Peru to create a comic featuring a trans hero to address social and mental health issues. What does that have to do with diplomacy?
So you see where all of this is going.
Yeah.
This is long overdue. It had to be burnt down. We had to point all of this out. And here's the last thing I want to call out about this because I have a lot of people who lean left in my ear about this. And one of the things that they'll say is, well, Elon is taking a salary for his work with DOGE. When people who say stuff like that tells me right away, you don't know how auditing and forensic accounting works. First of all, it's not a one-person job.
Yeah, like it should be done for free at that.
Yeah, and he's not taking any money himself. He's fine. But he has a staff of people that are helping him audit all of these books. They have to get paid.
Yeah.
So what's the problem? Of course,
They can get paid.
Of course, he's going to take a salary for this.
Yeah.
Now, my only argument is the salary they're taking less than the benefits that they're providing the country? And I think so far the answer to that question is yes. So therefore, I have no problem with it.
Yeah, and there's another story that just came out about everybody's worried about Elon's going to take your grandpa or grandma's Social Security. Yeah, if you're 150 years old, like that, I can't even. It's mind blowing that they said there was a percentage, and I don't want to quote the percentage, but there's a percentage of folks, Americans, that are still drawing Social Security benefits, and they're in the 150 age range. Again, you're on the Democratic side or liberal, whatever. Y'all need an answer for that because you can be mad at Trump, you can be mad at Elon, whatever. You cannot say DOGE is not doing its job. They're finding the waste. They're finding how the American tax dollars are just being mismanaged, and they've been mismanaged by multiple and by all parties. I'm not just going to say conservatives or Republicans don't have their hands dirty or have not had their hands in the cookie jar. All of the politicians have had their hands in the cookie jar, and we need an outside, a third party like the DOGE team to get in there and start looking at it because they're not beholden to some of these deals that these politicians have been making with each other to, hey, look the other way, and then as well as I'll scratch your back down the road. Like this is why Doge exists, and will continue fighting more wasteful spending in the government. And I want to say one more thing. There was a story where the Doge team had let go, or I don't know if it was Doge, but it wasn't Doge, it was somebody else. But because of Doge's finding, they let go of some of the astrophysicists, I want to say, but and they brought them back. And it's like, well, this is a massive project. Every now and then he's going to get a couple of things wrong. But like you said about the folks working at Doge, is their talent worth it? And they might get one wrong, but I still believe in Doge. I still think Doge is still doing the right thing. So, and for those guys that got fired, hey, now you can tell them like, hey, I'll come back for this price. Like the price of the brick just went up. You guys fired me. You thought you needed me. Now you need me. I want to get paid for that. I'm okay with that. I have no problems with that at all.
For the record, most of those people that they laid off got pretty nice severance packages too. So it's not like they just threw them out there on the street.
Oh yeah, some of those folks. So real quick, some of those folks didn't even take the severance package. Like you guys are idiots. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
your company's
on some
telling
political
you
pride stuff.
Yeah, it's for nothing, and now you're unemployed and you don't get the 8-month severance.
And for the record, and a lot of people call this out too and try to make it look like it's a race thing. Well, most of the federal employees that are getting laid off are black. Okay, let's think about this for a minute. Where are most federal jobs located? Washington, D.C.
DC. Yeah.
Washington, D.C. used to be known as Chocolate City for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that live in the DMV area are black. They look like us.
Yeah.
So isn't it safe to reason that the majority of the people that live there are the people that are employed there?
Yeah.
That's just a geographical coincidence, but you're trying to make it a racism argument.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, man. This reminds me, going back to the Rand Paul thing. 9 years ago, Obama did a tour through Africa, and he essentially passively aggressively told multiple countries, "You need to get on board with this LGBT stuff, or we're going to cut aid to you."
Right.
So even back then, we were cutting checks to these countries to advance agendas that have nothing to do with the United States, like advancing the United States interests. How does any of this advance the interests of the United States? It doesn't.
Well, honestly, I can see why some countries have a disdain towards America, because we are sitting millions of dollars to put in propaganda towards their kids so we can, have a favorable relationship with them down the road. Like we're trying to change their culture through their kids. Like that's ridiculous. And I'm glad that wasteful spending, Rand Paul, we don't even have time to go through all the additional wasteful spending. I want to say the most egregious one that I saw was the whole, and you just pointed this out to me, where that was linked back to Stacey Abrams. Like she needs to be called to the front of the congregation, because a lot of people see now. I think this is a reason why Stacey Abrams was not selected to be the VP, because she was supposed to be the VP. She was, she had just ran for governor and lost, and they were like, "Oh, this is the parting gift. We're going to make you the VP," and they went ahead and went with Kamala. So maybe the Democrats knew Stacey had her hands dirty, because getting linked to like what was it, a couple $1 billion or whatever, or $1 million in funds to her organization. I mean, that looks extremely bad, and nobody wants to call that stuff out, though. But again, a lot of these politicians and people that are involved, they need to be held accountable and arrested.
By the way,
it's $2 billion tax funds.
I just did a quick search in YouTube of Forbes breaking news Doge. And mind you, they've only audited 2 departments so far, and there's already 163 videos on violations in here.
Jeez.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
What's that saying go? The definition of insanity?
Yeah.
We know we're in a system that's not working, especially the Department of Education. People are really getting worked up over that one. It's not working. We're getting dumber. Health and Human Services, we're getting fatter. Heart disease is on the rise. Cancer is on the rise. Erectile dysfunction, the average age is dropping. Male testosterone in the United States is the lowest it's ever been.
Yeah.
But hey, don't fix it. Let's just leave everything the way it is. Y'all sound goofy.
Yeah. And if you're politicians, i.e. Bernie Sanders, your politicians, your senators, any Democrat or progressive coming out here saying they have a problem with Doge, that's the person that's doing the fraud. Because most of these people that have a problem with it, they're all millionaires. And they're trying to act like this is a billionaire problem. No, this is a millionaire problem. These folks go into the office, go into government. They've been in government their entire life. They've never worked for the private sector, and they go into the government and they come out as millionaires and soon to be, Nancy Pelosi as billionaires. So y'all got to like start calling it what it is. So, you may not like Trump or Elon. At the very least, you got to admit Doge is doing its job, and it's just getting started. So this ain't going nowhere for at least 2 years.
Here's another thing that baffles me. And okay, so we know that COINTELPRO is a real thing, right? We know for a fact that COINTELPRO conspired to eliminate a lot of black leaders in the civil rights movement and succeeded, by the way.
Right.
But now you trust the government and you're calling and you're questioning Doge and how they're calling out this stuff. You, as a person who knows American history, who knows COINTELPRO is a thing, now all of a sudden you trust the government.
Oh man,
that right there proves to me that you are one-sided and you can't think outside of today to tomorrow and the next day. So, weirdos, man. Just weirdos.
Shots fired. That is 100% fact.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This was a fun episode. Last words, MC?
Yeah, by the way, for all of y'all people and I see these things floating around about Donald Trump has not appointed one black person in his cabinet. You know what he did just do is got behind Byron Donalds being governor of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
But What do I know?
Yeah, and for the folks that just have a problem or a concern with how we handle some of these episodes,
Shut your bitch ass up.
goodbye, everybody.
Peace.